Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is MERIESCA Amanda. I'm from State Polytechnic of Sriwijaya, majoring in English Department 5 Physics class. Today I would like to discuss about types of probability sampling. So what is probability sampling? Probability sampling is defined as a sampling technique in which the research chooses samples from a larger population using a method based on the theory of probability. Probability sampling involves random selections, allowing you to make statistical inferences about the whole group. Probability sampling uses a random sampling techniques to create a sample. That's the definition. And then types of probability sampling. There are 5 types of probability sampling. The first one is simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, and multi-stage sampling. The first one is simple random sampling. To perform a simple random sampling, all a researcher must do is ensure that all members of the populations are included in a master list, and that subjects are then selected randomly from this master list. And then here the example you can read on slides 5. Then next to systematic sampling. Systematic random samplings allow researchers to create samples without using a random number generator, but the outcomes are not quite as random as they would be if a software program was used instead, like the program that we used before. Here is the example of systematic sampling. And then the next slide, stratified sampling. This method of probability sampling is best used when the goal of the research is to study a particular subgroup within a greater populations. It also results in more precise statistical outcomes than simple random samplings. And also stratified random sampling creates layers within a samples that are extremely accurate when it comes to representing the layers with the populations, and it too can be time consuming and tedious while creating the other larger samples. And then here's the example of stratified sampling. Then the next one is cluster samplings. The primary advantages of cluster random samplings are its convenience and ease to use, while its most notable disadvantage is that if number of clusters are not homogeneous in nature, researchers will end up with less accurate data. So when you use this cluster sampling, you have to be patient and you have to be more detailed about the data first. And then this one, the example. The company has offices in 10 cities across the country, all with roughly the same number of employees in similar roles. You don't have the capacity to travel to every office to collect your data, so you use random sampling to select 3 offices that are your cluster. So across the 10 cities, offices, so they have to choose 3 offices that the best one. And then the next one is multi-stage sampling. You can read this in this slide. By combining various probability sampling techniques at various stages of research initiative, researchers are able to maintain confidence that they are mitigating biases as much as possible. So when you use multi-stage sampling, you combine all the various probability sampling techniques. Like before, the cluster samplings or stratified with systematic sampling and etc. It based on what you are confident and how you mitigate the biases as much as possible. And then here the difference between probability sampling and non-probability samplings. And here the advantages and the disadvantages of the sampling itself. So here's my discussions. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.